What's going on, guys? Billy here, and the Mavic 3 is a drone that has gotten significantly better with each and every update. I mean, you look at all the firmware updates that we've received in the past year that this drone has been out, and it's turned into something that is fundamentally different than it was on day one. Now, sure, some of these features probably should have been there from the jump, from day one when we unboxed this drone, like HLG, ActiveTrack, and Hyperlapse, but nonetheless, DJI has brought us to a point now with the Mavic 3 where this drone has truly been refined, and they're giving us features that we really never thought we'd see in a drone like the Mavic 3. So with all of that said, this update version 01.00.0900 introduced the following changes to the Mavic 3 Classic, the Mavic 3, and the Mavic 3 Cine. There's a lot of really good changes and updates in here, so if you want to screenshot this list, you can do so, but I really want to focus on 3 of the biggest changes first here. So let's kick things off here with what the title of this video is, and that is the brand new night video shooting mode. If you remember, I shared some initial clips when the Mavic 3 dropped last November, and I was absolutely floored at the image quality and clarity as the ISO was increased to compensate for the disappearing sunlight. Fast forward 1 year, and DJI has improved upon this already great drone for shooting low light video. So I'm going to put some clips up here on the screen taken with the Mavic 3 Classic using night mode here in the city of Philadelphia. And remember, the Mavic 3 Classic has the same main camera as the Mavic 3 and the Mavic 3 Cine. So no matter which of these 3 drones you have, your footage will look similar. Now, basically the way that this works is through night mode, the drone now allows you to increase the maximum ISO to 12,800. It previously would cap out at 6,400 ISO, which I actually thought was plenty bright for capturing cityscapes. Nonetheless, the one caveat is that it runs a level of noise reduction on the video that is saved to the SD card, so it technically isn't the raw or untouched video, so to speak. It's kind of like that smart photo function, except now for video. Smart photo is basically an HDR photo software built into DJI's drones that spits out a processed JPEG image, so the software on board the drone and DJI Fly app is working magic before you get to see it. So that's what it's doing with the video. It's cleaning up that noise before you actually preview it from your SD card. I attempted some angles around the city that I previously wouldn't have tried because of the lower ISO limit, like towards Fairmount Park showing the art museum. There isn't a lot of light in this direction when facing away from the city, but the extra bump in the ISO really helped with evening out the exposure for this composition. Just as a quick note, the minimum ISO in this shooting mode, so the night video mode, is 800, so you wouldn't want to shoot with it during the daytime thinking that you're going to get a cleaner looking image. Now, if we backpedal and show some footage that I captured at 6,400 ISO without using the night mode, you can see that there's quite a good amount of noise, especially if we compare this to one of those clips that I captured in the night mode at 12,800 ISO. The difference is clear. We're shooting at a higher ISO and the image looks more clear. So the noise reduction is definitely doing a good job at keeping this frame looking clean. Now, going back to a full screen look at this clip shot at 6,400 ISO, running noise reduction on our own does the trick to clean up this shot while preserving a good amount of clarity. Just for reference, I'm using Final Cut Pro's built-in noise reduction, which does a really good job in most of the scenarios that I've thrown at it. Just for another look, this is a clip captured at 3,200 ISO where there was enough light to keep the ISO down, thus mitigating the amount of noise in the image. This is right out of the camera, and honestly, there isn't a huge need to run any noise reduction. Maybe I would run a very low setting, but again, this is a very sharp and clean looking image right out of the camera. So this new night mode is definitely very helpful, but personally, I kind of wish that DJI would have let us just shoot in 12,800 ISO outside of the night mode, just when shooting regular video, so that we can take that video into post and clean up the noise ourselves. For some reason, when I compare the footage captured in the night mode and then the footage captured outside of the night mode, when I clean up the noise in post, I feel like my footage looks a little bit more clear. But look, nonetheless, I am very happy with the low light performance of the Mavic 3 Classic, the Mavic 3, and the Mavic 3 Cine. I mean, just think about it. A couple of years ago, the footage we're getting with these drones, especially at nighttime, just wouldn't be possible. So the fact that DJI continues to push this camera technology forward with their algorithms built in with night mode is definitely a good sign for what's to come in the future. Now, before we go any further, I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video that's helped me keep my drones charged, because drones like the Avata here don't come shipped with a power brick inside of the box. Because of this, I've been relying on the powerful GAN Prime line of chargers from Anker, who is the sponsor of this video. The chargers that I've been using from this lineup have been the 737 charging brick and the 727 power station. The 737 charger always stays in my Avata bag because of how small and portable it is. It's capable of delivering 120 watts of power power. So whether you're using the single charger or the multi-charger, you'll be able to charge your Avata batteries at their full speed. This goes for plenty of other drones too, like the Mavic 3 and the Mini 3 Pro. I can even charge my phone, iPad Pro, and MacBook Pro off of this power brick, so it's nice to be able to carry one charger that can provide enough power at a fast enough speed for all of my devices. Now, when I need more ports, I use the Anker 727 power station that has 2 AC outlets, 2 USB-C ports, and 2 USB-A ports. The 5-foot cord gives you enough room to place the charger anywhere that you need to provide power for up to 6 devices at once. Something that always stands out with Anker's products is the build quality. The entire GaN Prime lineup here is made of a durable metal with high quality ports that provides a charger that is excellently constructed. I always know that I can count on it to work no matter how much I abuse it. So a special thanks to Anker for sponsoring this video and helping me keep my drones and devices charged while on the go. Now, the next new feature that I want to cover is one that made its way over from DJI's FPV drones to the Mavic 3 line, and that is cruise control. Rather than being a separate flight mode, you need to enable cruise control by setting it as a custom button on your controller. To do so, you'll tap on the 3 dots in the top right corner, go to Control, and then select Button Customization. From here, I set my back C2 button to act as the start and stop button for cruise control. Once we have this all set up, all you need to do is start flying, and when you reach your desired speed, you press that button and the drone will lock that speed into place. This is referenced by the speed in the telemetry displayed in the bottom left corner turning a yellow color, and there's also a little lock next to the speed as well. To disable cruise control, you can simply press that same custom button or the red X on the screen and the drone will come to a halt. Just as a note, you can also lock your vertical speed, so you can begin flying straight while increasing your altitude, and the drone will lock its speed in both directions. Personally, I'm probably going to continue to get most of my shots on my own so that I can adjust my speed accordingly as I need to, but a great use for this would be to lock the speed of your drone in the direction that you want to fly so you have less to worry about. For example, when flying around a subject, you can set your speed in any direction that you want and then just worry about the rotation of the drone and the pitch of the gimbal, making things a lot easier. Something I'm really looking forward to using cruise control for is flying from point to point. So sometimes I try to fly out to a far away target to try to get some photos and videos. So for example, I might be on the beach trying to fly out to say a lighthouse or out to a bridge, and sometimes that can be a half a mile to a mile away. So now all I need to do, instead of consistently pushing my right stick forward, waiting for the drone to get out there, I can set my speed, I can put on cruise control, and then sit there and watch the drone as it flies out. So of course, you don't just want to set your cruise control speed, put the controller down, and then walk away. You want to make sure you're always paying attention just in case, but regardless, it makes flying from point to point a whole lot easier. Okay, now moving on to the third and probably my favorite feature that was added, I would say, across any firmware update ever that we've gotten for the Mavic 3, and that is being able to adjust the gain and expo settings. So heading back to the 3 dots in the top right corner, we'll jump to the control section and then select the gain and expo settings. From here, we have the option to change the max horizontal speed, ascent speed, descent speed, the angular velocity, the yaw smoothness, the brake sensitivity, your expo settings, and of course, your gimbal pitch, speed, and smoothness. These can be customized for each flight mode from normal to sport to cine mode, and allows you to significantly decrease your maximum speed if you wanted, all the way down to 2.5 miles per hour. Now, you might be wondering, why would I purposely want to make my drone slower? Which I guess is a good question, but really, these gain and expo settings are put in place so that you can tweak your drone to fly how you want it for the shots that you need to get. So for example, if you're trying to get a slow moving shot, sometimes the cine mode and the normal mode in its stock configuration just doesn't cut it. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're trying to get a slow moving reveal around a building to show a cityscape. Well, if you want to try to get it to move as slow as possible, you could use the normal mode, which has a maximum speed of 33 miles an hour, which means if you were going from left to right and you push your stick all the way to the left, you're flying at 33 miles an hour. So that's obviously a lot faster than you might want to fly to get that slow moving reveal. So you might need to try and push the stick ever so slightly just to fly only 2 miles an hour, which yes, can be done, but sometimes you end up pushing it a little bit too far and it speeds up too fast, and then you've got to reset your shot. So in this specific example, when you're trying to get a reveal around a building, you could set your maximum speed to say 10 miles an hour. So when you fully push your stick to the left, you're now doing 10 miles an hour. If you're at half, you're doing 5 miles an hour, and now it's much easier to control that speed. So personally, the way that I'll have these different flight modes set up through my gain and expo settings is to basically generally have my sport and normal mode all the way tweaked out, like all the way maxed to full speed, and then my cine mode is going to probably sit between like 8 to 10 miles an hour so that I can get those slow moving shots when I need to. And of course, I'm going to refine those different settings as I see fit moving forward. And if you want, in the future, I'll share my gain and expo settings to kind of share what I found to be the best for certain situations, because I'm definitely still going through all of the different setup process to see what fits my flying style best. Now, to wrap this video up, getting into some of the miscellaneous updates, the Mavic 3 and the Mavic 3 Cine with the extra telephoto camera can now make use of the POI and spotlight flight modes on static subjects. This is actually a really useful update because when trying to do an orbit with such a tight focal length, it can be really hard to properly frame your subject. This addition here makes it a lot easier to get those cool parallax shots with the compressed distance. You can also now choose a lower preview quality of your hyperlapses, which takes significantly less time to stitch, so it doesn't add any sort of stabilization. I usually end up just manually editing all of my hyperlapses from the raw photo, so this will come in handy if I don't want to waste time on the drone sitting there processing my massive 750 photo hyperlapse. So those are pretty much the main things in this update that I really wanted to cover in depth. There are a couple of other things I'll quickly mention just to kind of round out our bullet point list here. For example, they added the ability to now shoot D-Log footage at 1600 ISO, so that kind of puts it in line with now the new night mode video being able to shoot at 12,800 ISO. Let's see, also they added support for EU C1 certification as well as support for remote ID. I find it so funny that they tucked this all the way down at the bottom and they kind of included it in a big update with all these cool features. So now if you update, your drones are remote ID compatible. I find it a little bit annoying because right now I'm getting a little error in the top left corner that says remote ID error. Sometimes it sits there for like 30 seconds, sometimes it goes away in like 5 seconds, but regardless, that's a little bit annoying. They also optimized the name ruling for the footage after you format your SD card. Personally, I haven't seen any issues in that regard. And they also fixed an issue where the color was abnormal in DNG photos. But look, I love the color science of this drone and I haven't noticed any issues. So if they made any changes, cool. But regardless, those two are fairly small. Anyway, guys, big update. I think it's awesome to see that these drones are still getting better and better. And now I'm kind of wondering, like, what else does DJI have up their sleeve? Do they have anything else that they're going to add to this drone to make it better? I mean, this has been out for a full year and we're still seeing the fundamentals of it change through these really big firmware updates. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this update down in the comment section below. And as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.